You made an observation that surrounding the campus of MIT, which I think you've been there since around 55. I didn't get there till around 89, but you said you noticed how the companies around there changed over time. They went from kind of electronics companies in the 50s and 60s and then moved on into biotech, and what that said about how our kind of society was being co-opted. Can you explain that point you made? Because again, I think it's about observing something that most people wouldn't look at, but it shows you what's happening with the government and industrial complex.
We're taught in Econ 101 that we live in a free market society, entrepreneurial capitalism, and so on. If you look around you, it's right in front of you. That's very partial truth. So take this example. In the 1950s, when I got to MIT, 50s and 60s, the surrounding industries were mainly electronic firms. If you walk around the MIT campus today, what you see is Pfizer, Genentech, Novartis, and so on. Why the change? Well, the reason is that in the 50s and the 60s, the cutting edge of the economy was electronics-based. The government was pouring huge amounts of money into doing the basic research and development that private corporations were learning from, so they could adapt it to working for market and profit. So IBM could learn from the electronics lab where I was working how to move from punch card computers to electronic computers. And then they were able to develop, after many years, marketable computers. Now the cutting edge of the economy is often biology-based. So the big pharmaceutical companies can learn from the research being done under government subsidy, of course, at the main research universities, so they can learn something that they can turn into drugs that they can market and so on. Now, of course, they get plenty of straight subsidies from the government itself. So right now there's a lot of interest, of course, in vaccines and drugs that might alleviate the effects of COVID-19. A great deal of that research is done. The basic core research, the hard creative part, is done within fundamentally the public sector. Even if it's in a private lab, it's often with government funding. And there's good reasons for that. A private enterprise doesn't want to take risks on things that may not pay off. It's not their business. Their business is to make profit. But the creative, hard, risky work is very often done in the public sector. I mean, it's not too much of an exaggeration to say we have a system of public subsidy, private profit. And that goes way back. Actually, you can trace it back to how England robbed technology from India, if you want to go back to the 18th century. I mean, this goes way back. So yes, there's a story about free markets and how wonderful they are and so on. As soon as you start looking at what's in front of you, like your computer, the screen that we're both looking at, you see quite a different story. These are, again, things that people don't think about. It's in front of your eyes, but you don't think about it. Because if we're well trained, it's not the kind of thing you think about.